Hello, my name is Jackie Irwin. I'm an artist in the high country of North Carolina, and my video today is to talk about Artomat. Back in 2017, 2018, my friend Roberta Adams, who was also an artist, told me about Artomat, and we were really excited about it. It's such a cool idea. So first and foremost, I do not work for Artomat. I don't represent Artomat. I am a contributing artist to the Artomat vending machines. Visit artomat.org for all of the information about how to become an Artomat artist and what it's all about. I just want to share my experience here in case it might help somebody, because when we first started, there weren't many videos about how to do it and examples of what other people were doing. And fortunately, that's changed now. There are a lot more videos out there today. And again, the artomat.org website has expanded to show a lot more information. They show some artists and representations of work that is in the machines and the machines themselves. So first is, what is Artomat? Well, Clark Whittington, who's the artist in charge of Artomat, he refurbishes the old cigarette vending machines. And if you're old enough to remember those machines, it was a machine that stood there, and there were multiple columns where packs of cigarettes would be, and there would be a little placard at the front of each column that told you what was in that column, if it was lights or menthols or regulars or what have you, and the brand. So you'd put money in, and it was change back then because it was that cheap back in the day. And you'd put your change in, and you'd pull the lever of the brand you wanted, and out popped a pack of cigarettes. So they outlawed that a long time ago because people used to send their kids to go buy cigarettes, and they couldn't enforce who was buying the cigarettes, so they don't do that anymore. So there were all these machines that were no longer vending cigarettes. Well, Clark Whittington acquired some of these machines and renovated them and restored them, but he retrofitted them so that they no longer sell cigarettes. Now they sell art. So what the deal is a customer goes up to a machine. They can see varieties, and there's a great variety of types of art that they can get from these machines. The price is $5. They put their $5 in, they pull a lever, and out pops a piece of original art. So Artomat doesn't want prints. They want original, unique pieces of art, but they want it to be in a theme, because when the customer looks at that placard, it needs to give them an accurate idea of what they can expect to get when they pull that lever. So the idea is, and this is on the Artomat website, there you can send in a prototype of what you would like to do, and if they like it and approve it, then they're going to ask you for 50 of those. And if they continue to like it and everything goes well, you'll just continue doing that. They'll ask you for 50 more when they need them, or you can tell by the amount of the check and the little slip that comes with it whether you think they're running low and can make 50 more. The art itself is either affixed to a wooden MDF block that's the size of a pack of cigarettes, or if it's 3D art like jewelry or little statues or what have you, it needs to fit inside a box that's the size of a pack of cigarettes. And they have special requirements for that. It needs to have a weight requirement so that it will fall in the machine properly. My art is watercolor and ink, so I use the blocks and I put my watercolor on top and wrap cellophane around them, and that's how mine works. Some acrylic artists paint right on the block, and boy, that I might try that in the future, I don't know, but for right now I'm doing my watercolors and they're working well for me. The theme that you decide to submit, think about that before you submit a prototype, because if they like it and accept it, they're going to ask you for 50 of them, and then maybe 50 more, maybe 50 more, and so on. So you want to pick something that you can make 50 of with no big deal, that they are going to like, that customers are going to like, and that you're going to like doing. You don't want it to become drudgery. And And that brings me to a point that Artomat makes, that they don't want these things looking assembly line produced. They want each one to be a unique piece of art. So the idea is that some of your customers at these machines, they may never have purchased original art in their life, because as we know, it can be quite expensive. But $5 most people can afford, and with a great variety of art in there, most people can find something that they might like. And so you want it to be a positive experience all the way around, for Artomat, for the customer, and for yourself, the artist. So every artist, I think, has their own process for Artomat, and I have mine, which I'll share, and hopefully that'll help somebody. And if it does, great. I order my blocks, which are only sold to Artomat approved artists, because they're not making money on these things. It's just for the machines. You get your blocks or boxes, and you want to decorate them in such a manner, because in the machine, if you'll visualize the art stacked up in a little window that a customer's looking at, if it was just a plain bunch of blocks, that might not be attractive, because I guess there's a little competition as well. When someone's spending their $5, they're deciding which one they want to get, and if your blocks look attractive on the edge, then it might make them more inclined to pull your lever. I get a check every quarter. Sometimes it's 25, sometimes it's 75. It comes in very handy to get a check every quarter. There might be some people who are working it harder than I am and are getting bigger checks. For me, I don't want it to become a drag, because to me the feeling of what I'm doing translates to the artwork, and to me, if what I'm doing is a drag, the artwork's going to be a dud, and I want it all to have a good vibe and feel good. I have a tin roof, and you can hear the rain here in the mountains. If you have a theme and you become bored with it and you don't want to do it anymore, or you feel that your attitude toward it has compromised the quality of the art, make another prototype, send it in, and if they approve that, then you can get to do something new. I've only been doing this a little over a year, so I'm still doing my same theme, and I picked a theme that affords me a lot of flexibility, and I've really enjoyed it. Every time I think I can't come up with another design here, somehow I do. It's an interesting process that kind of pulls the best out of you, if you let it. So when you order blocks from Artomat, you get 50 of these little MDF blocks and 50 cellophanes that will wrap around the blocks. For my work, I do watercolor, so that's why I get the blocks. And when you imagine that these blocks are in a cigarette machine, what you're going to see actually is the edge of these blocks, much like you do here. So I try to just paint the outside edges of them so that they have an interesting appearance when you look and see this edge in the cigarette machine. Now I know a lot of acrylic artists will paint right directly on the block and just paint their image on one side or both sides, I don't know, and paint around the block. But because I'm doing watercolor, I want this edge to stay plain. My watercolor will sit on top, and it'll be cellophane wrapped around. This edge will be seen in the cigarette machine, in the Artomat machine. So what I like to do is to line them up on a flat surface in a row and use a large clamp to clamp them together so that I've got a flat edge here and a flat edge there, and I can paint that, let it dry, flip it, and do the other end. So this just helps me to keep the paint on the surfaces I want, namely the edge and off of the front and back. And part of the reason that I clamp them this way is you can see how porous that material is. It's kind of like compressed wood fibers. And if you've seen any of that particle board furniture outside where it swells and distorts, I don't know if these blocks would do that, but I'm not taking any chances because they need to fit precisely in the machine to not jam up the machine. So there are my finished painted blocks. They're still a little damp, let them dry, pop them apart. So my up top and bottom surfaces are largely clean, but the edges that are going to show on the in the face of the machine have some kind of streaky twilight looking color. Usually I cut all of my paper in one session. It's a particular size and I get into a meditation about it. Then I will do all of my backgrounds. I'll usually do them all in one sitting, and I'll let all of the backgrounds sit on plexiglass so that the watercolor has time to do its thing and lay flat and completely dry overnight before I do anything else with it. When they're completely dry the next day, I'll stack them up and put them in a container, and they'll be ready for artwork on top of them. Here I've put some stars on the sides of my blocks with white India ink. Wrapping the cellophane blocks I had difficulty with at first. I found the easiest way for me to do it was to leave the tissue paper on, put a piece of tape on one end, let the tissue paper fall away, and flip over the cellophane so the tape will then be facing up. Put my painting on the block and put that face down on the cellophane. And then bring my cellophane from the back, wrap it around nice and tight and even, and then bring the front piece of cellophane across to meet and make sure the edges are nice and flush and tape it down. And there we go. It's a process. You get used to it. So anyhow, hopefully this will have helped artists who are considering applying to become contributing artists. And if you're not an artist and you're just interested in Artomat, hopefully it makes you want to go out and find a machine and check it out. On the artomat.org website there is a map that shows the locations of the machines, so they are all over the country and there are even some around the world. So check it out, it's fun, and how cool is that?